Hello and welcome, one and all, to yet again another episode of Level 1 Adventuring. I am your host and dungeon master, how to remember the words, Wolfe Scott. Pleasure to be here with you all again tonight. What we are going to be doing before we get too deep into it is we're going to be continuing our playthrough of Outsiders, which is a solo TTRPG by Jason Price, also known as Always Checkers. It is styled in sort of the vein of a Star Wars bounty hunter story, but set in its own sort of unique universe. And we'll talk a little bit more about that when we start getting into the game proper. But before we do that, let me talk through my normal spiel that I give to everyone. So what is Level 1 Adventuring if you're brand new to us? Primarily, we are a role-playing game stream. I run long-form group games like D&D. You can catch old episodes on YouTube, new episodes on Twitch. And I also run, very much like tonight, by myself, some solo RPGs when I have the time. I have playthroughs of Outsiders, which is this current playthrough, Notorious, which is the prequel to this game, Tales from the Burnstones, Firelights, a whole bunch for you to see. So if you're into it, check out our old episodes on YouTube for all of that. And follow our socials where we post our go lives. We talk about which games we're playing next, right? And speaking of places you should follow, the Discord. The Discord has all of us hanging out, and there's actually two other really cool parts about the Discord, which I'm going to plug right here. The first of which is if you're also into role-playing games, the Discord functions as a fully functional 5th edition play-by-post West Marches campaign. So there's a bunch of players in these player-based factions exploring a cursed island. It's a lot of fun. Whether you're new to the game or a veteran, we'd love to have you. All the instructions on how to join the campaigns are going to be posted in the Discord, so head there to learn more. And another thing that we do, usually on Tuesday nights here, is we play some City of Heroes, an MMORPG with the community. So if you're curious about this cool classic MMO, you want to find a group to play with pretty regularly, all the instructions on how to join will be in the Discord, and you can join our super group there, right? But back to, before what we're doing tonight, and big thank you to all of our stream partners, StreamLabs, StreamSpell, Epidemic Sound, AI TwitchBot, all the services that help make our, experience for the audience a little bit more engaging. If you want to use them for your own stream, links down below, you get a cutback, we get a cutback, everyone is happy, right? But now let's talk a little bit more about what we're actually going to be doing tonight, and that is going to be Outsiders. So Outsiders, this is a solo RPG designed by Jason Price. We're not going to do a full read-through of the rules because we have a continuation of a game going on, right? We want to make sure we honor that. But the main points that you need to know is that Outsiders is designed to play like a Star Wars bounty hunting story. You create a character, you take on jobs. Hey, Nar the Necromancer! Happy to have you back with us as always. Fan and friend of the stream, Nar, happy. It plays like a Star Wars bounty hunting story. So you create a character, you travel through the galaxy, you battle some bad guys or some good guys, depending on what your contract is, and you take in your quarry, right? It is the sequel to Notorious, which you can also download from Always Checkers / Jason Price. And what you can actually do is once you play through a full game of Notorious, they actually provide you the rules to create a 3-part trilogy story, right? That's in Outsiders. So that's where we're picking up. We've already played through our full playthrough of Notorious. If you want to watch all of that, that is on the previous episodes. But we are picking up our adventure with our current quarry. So we'll take just a minute to talk about where we are, how we got here, right? So let's open up our little character sheet. So this is Redarr Kenth. Redarr Kenth is a space cowboy. He wears himself a proper Daft Punk visor helmet and cowboy hat and leather duster. He's got himself some dual plasma pistols with some shock handles on the end for pistol whipping. But Redarr Kenth got himself in some hot water in his very first mission because his target was a setup. Got him in a lot of trouble for trying to capture a bounty that was set him up for failure, and had a large price put on his head, and he had to flee to the outer sectors of space, which is where we are in Outsiders, right? So essentially, he's trying to pull up enough scratch to buy his freedom back. And yes, as Nar mentioned, we are still looking for Waldo. So we're going to talk a little bit about our current quarry. So Waldo is the individual we're looking for. They are a quadoi, who are a four-armed alien species. Well, we should be able to pick Waldo out of a crowd if we can ever find him, because Waldo's very good at being invisible. All puns intended. They have a very striking appearance, blue skin, a lot of piercings, very nervous looking, very cagey, and all four arms are constantly fidgeting with this sort of self-reconfiguring puzzle cube fidget spinner kind of thing. The hit that was put on Waldo was from the Old Empire, specifically the Admiral's Fleet, which is a sort of subsect of the Old Empire that used to rule space. Very much your Star Wars Empire analogy for this universe, right? Because he apparently stole some technology, which is really important to the Empire. It was a a long-range radar. Oh, and that reminds me, speaking of long-range radar, what is the... Oh, I can't remember. Oh, the GM emulator. I was like, I know there's another tool that I usually have that helps me run these solo games, and I know that it's not up right now. So what is the tool? And the tool is the GM emulator. If I can have my computer cooperate with me for a moment. Let me actually pull into just chat. GM emulator, hello. Hello. Here, you know, you get ready to run the stream, and there's always one thing you forget. You always forget one thing. Okay, there we go. Strangely enough, it opened up in my... But that's fine. Let's go back here. Go back to the solo. There we go. Now we have our GM emulator up in case we need it. I'm gonna see if I can pull it out. Perfect. I like having them all separate. But yes, Waldo stole some high-tech radar unit from the Old Empire, and now he's on the run, and we are chasing him to buy back our freedom. We're specifically hunting him on Katoon, which is a prison planet. And this prison planet... Hey, Redarr! Happy to see you. It's been a while. Happy to have you in chat. Redarr... As I'm saying Redarr as if it's the name of the planet. Katoon is the prison planet, where Waldo is currently hiding out. It is under the control, if I'm not mistaken, of a group of space pirates. And the Admiral's Fleet, the Old Empire, is challenging them for control. And there's also a bunch of spicers on this planet. Spoiler alert, we are in bad blood with both the space pirates and the spicers. So we got our work cut out for you. The only friends that we have here are the Admiral's Fleet, and those friends are kind of fleeting since I don't think they really have as many friends as they do business associates, right? So that's kind of our current situation. We did a little bit of exploring our first session on Katoon, which we got into a couple scraps with some space pirates, as you do, but it eventually led us to our first lead. And our first lead was a, Redarr says, Dragon Dogmas 2 look awesome. Yes, it does. I remember playing the first one, God, years ago, and I thought a lot of the systems were really novel. I liked making the sidekicks that could like pick up information from other worlds. So I hope they keep the trend of those like cool systems at play for the new release. But the character creator's crazy. I saw like a very accurate Gandalf the other day, which was pretty impressive. So we found our first lead. So basically how Outsiders works is you need to find a couple of leads before you can catch your target. our lead was the leader of a salvaging operation on Katoon, a sort of rock golem-like alien called Nzora. And Nzora kind of gave up the goat that they know about Waldo, know that they're here, and they're sort of doing this reclamation of Imperial tech. They are Imperial, right? But they are trying to stop us from finding Waldo. So it's kind of implying that there's some sort of secret mission or maybe defection or some sort of splinter faction about the Admiral's fleet from the old Empire that isn't exactly telling the whole truth when it comes to who Waldo is, why Waldo has this technology, and why it is important to them, right? Which is interesting. It's an interesting thread that we are going to tug on as our story continues. But the other thing that pretty much happened was we got into a fight with Nzora and a couple of his cronies in a cave at this salvaging yard. They summoned up a swarm of like hungry space bats with some sonar technology, tried to feed us to them. We fought our way out. We blasted our way through the prospectors, and we captured Nzora. We decided to take Nzora alive because obviously their information is probably worth more to us alive than dead. And that is what's leading us into the next section of our adventure. Our quest to find Waldo. Redarr says, just upgraded today from Xbox One to Series S. Ooh. So I'm either going to get BG3 or Dragon's Dogma 2 next month. I mean, both I think are solid choices. Being the D&D fan that I am, you know, I will make my case for Baldur's Gate 3, because I know it's good. I can't say, I'd like to imagine Dragon's Dogma's good, but I can't promise you that. So, but I can promise you that Baldur's Gate is fun. So, you know, there's that to consider. I'm going to turn down my headphones a little bit. Give me a little space piece. Narcissus haven't played DD2 yet, but yeah, BG3's worth it. That's what I'm saying. I know it. I know it is already. All right, so let's pick up where last time we left off. We had just captured Nzora. We had sort of followed them back to their prospecting base and told them to phone up Tarl Narson, who was the old Empire liaison that we had met earlier in the adventure, and to pretty much turn themselves in and arrange us a transport to speak to Tarl, right? So that is where we're going to pick up. So how Outsiders works is you do an exploration phase and a destination phase. It kind of trades back and forth to get you to the next arc of your story. We've already done our exploration phase. That is what led us to Nzora. So now we have to head into our exploration, or our destination phase. And we kind of already know what's happening at the destination phase, because we set that up in the last part of the adventure, but we are still gonna roll to see what happens. Destination table, destination events. All right, to use the destination table, roll 2 dice. All right, so we wanna roll 2d6, bum, bum. We got a 5 and a 5. With a challenging faction, I'm like that with Pillars of Eternity 2, played but never finished. Oh, I actually finished Pillars. I liked it a lot, actually. The ending I didn't love, but the rest of the adventure was so good that it was kind of, you know, hard to be saddened by it. Oh man, I'm having to remember. Roll on the destination table to find out where you arrive. You get a brief description. Use the destination table, roll 2 dice. One determines one of the 3 tables you'll roll, and the other is the event. You arrive at a bustling spaceport controlled by the challenging faction. Gain 1 notoriety. If it's 5 or higher, a hostile guard approaches. Roll twice on the destination table. I feel like I already rolled that. Yeah, you'll have to forgive me. It's been a second since I played this game. Okay, so Yeah. Probably is there one. When you just roll 2 dice, one determines. Oh, when you roll in the destination events table. Okay, so number 1, we just rolled a 5. You arrive at a bustling spaceport. So we know which spaceport that is. That is actually the one we were already at, which is Fulcrum Station. So I'm just going to copy and paste this right into our next section. Since we're heading right back to where we were. Destination 3. So this is Fulcrum Point. This was the space station which was controlled by the challenging faction, which is the old Empire slash the new Admiral. And let's see, is there any other information I want to keep from this in here? Yeah, Tarl Narson is the captain of Fulcrum Point. So let's do that. So the first thing that happens to us, gain 1 notoriety. All right, so our notoriety is maxed. We are very notable when it comes to this planet. If it's 5 or higher, a hostile guard approaches. Okay, so when it comes to hostiles, you have a couple of options. I'm gonna open up the original key terms for Notorious here. You'll inevitably encounter hostiles on every planet as you hear through their opinions about the encountering nomad. You may try to threaten hostiles you meet to warn them off without resulting violence or causing a scene. So this is what we want to do. We want to roll a d6 and then add half of our notoriety, which we just gained 1. So notoriety is 6, so we're going to add 3. All right, let us roll a d6, see what happens. 3 and 3 is 6. Okay. That's decent. Resolve the attack action. Okay. You may try to threaten hostiles. But it's... I remember success and failure. Yes. If it is... All 4 reactions require you to roll 2 dice, 1 for your nomad and 1 for your opponent. Yes, see, I always forget that you're always rolling for your opponents as well. So we have a 6, which is pretty decent. All right, and they rolled a 5, so we do win out. Success. The hostile backs down, no longer an immediate threat. Roll on the threat neutralized table. So we're going to roll on the threat neutralized table, which is another 5. They owe an old favor to an infamous nomad. Why did this nomad spare this person's life, or what local problem did they resolve? Oh, okay. Well, if we have a hostile guard approach us, and they back down due to a former nomad, I mean, I think that can actually be us. Because the last time we were at Fulcrum Point, we put down a small raid that was happening from the Huskar Corsairs, right? And not only that, we are being piloted in by the old Empire forces with hostages that have information, right? So I think what happens is, you know, we see, well, they see, we're kind of seeing their perspective, right? This old Empire cargo transport that is coming into Fulcrum Point. You can probably hear static radios, you know, chattering back and forth. This is Aerial 1, do you read us? Ground base to Aerial 1 to Fulcrum Point. Yes, ground base, we read you, Aerial 1. You can proceed to landing. And you know, this you can see the thruster sort of burning some charred holes into the earth where this massive, well, I guess it'd be a personal transport, so not too big, but considering that they're transporting probably some spare materials and a bunch of like rock golem aliens, it's pretty hefty. And you can see a bunch of guards detecting that there is a sort of unauthorized person on board. because they scanned us before and could tell that we were nomad, right? They approach in their red armor, a couple of the gravity bats and hammers. Oh, let's see, what's this? Nar says, oof, Redarr got yelled at by Mod. That happens sometimes. We can see the guards approaching with their sort of gravity bats and hammers. One has like a laser rifle, and you can hear through their helmets, shh, unauthorized nomad, please approach with caution. And then you can see Redarr beginning to mosey on out, his spurs cling, cling, hitting the sides of the conveyor belt, which are lowering from the transport, as he's leading a bunch of these Imperial defectors, these rock golems, down from their hoist, one pistol at his side. Hey now, I'm real good friends with Tarl Narson. You ain't gonna want to rustle up any problems with me. Besides, I got y'all a special delivery I'm sure you'll be mighty interested in if you can give me a second to explain ourselves here. And you can see the old Empire guards sort of look between each other. They look down to their sort of like wrist communicators, just like a little screen, right, as they're quickly running through our credentials, and they can see that we've been previously approved by Tarl Narson, as they all sort of nod. Yes, Redarr Kenth, I believe, helped us with the pirates earlier. You've been authorized for clearance. Tarl will speak with you. And they sort of give us a little berth as we begin to walk through. Mighty kind of you. Cling, cling. As they begin to escort the prisoners to a place where they will be very kindly intimidated, probably. This is the old Empire we're talking about here. So we resolved the threaten, but we also have to resolve twice on the destinations table. All right, so one resolves what event we're gonna have. 2-2. You spot an eccentric-looking field scientist or adventurous explorer arguing with a hostile over their bags. Roll a die. Ooh. Okay. So let's go to... So we're gonna say that it's Tarl Narson who is actually arguing with... Who is our... It's either a field scientist or an adventurous explorer. Let's roll a die and figure out. I'm gonna say, yeah, 4 to 6 is the adventurous explorer. Tarl Narson, adventurous explorer. Now for the adventurous explorer, we can actually reference our Katoon prison planet. And we can... You know, we haven't seen a Kiono yet on our stay in Katoon. And I kind of like the idea of the Kiono. They're sort of a dog or hound humanoid, very reminiscent of the Bothan from the Star Wars lineage. So let's say we have an adventurous explorer. They are a Kiono or a hound person. And they're getting argued with over their bags. Roll a die. Number 2. You consider intervening, but you believe your scar would escalate the situation. Oh, yeah, that's right. Every nomad typically has a couple of aspects about them that are congruent. My scar is that I have a cybernetic eye patch, a holographic targeting module that's worn over my eye because I lost the eye in a duel. That's why I normally wear my blast shield visor. It's probably down because I'm somewhere that I'm somewhat familiarized with. So why would I think that this adventurous explorer would be escalated by my presence there? Maybe because we know each other formally? What equipment falls out of their bag as they grapple? Okay, so first things first, I have to see if I can de-escalate the situation. They're dealing with a hostile. And we should also... I do have... Yeah, my little NPC generator. So let's roll that. 6 and 19. Truly weird feature. Roll again. Mutation is that much weirder. Okay. 9 and 6. 6. Okay. So the thing about this Kiono, this hound person, is that they have an overly long neck. A disturbingly long neck. Sort of an almost giraffe-like overly long neck. And they're wearing ragged, dirty clothes. Actually, they're probably an escaped prisoner, because this is a former prison planet. And we talked about how some of the former prisoners can't escape because of the influence of the old empire. Which is probably why we are scary. Because to a former prisoner, a bounty hunter in a bounty hunter in Empire space is intimidating, right? Nobody wants to be called in. So then, and we don't have a name. Let's generate a quick name here. Let's see. Ooh. Thrixvorn. Thrixvorn. I'm kind of getting like a kind of like a greyhound vibe, right? When I think of this long skinny neck, this greyhound vibe, that's going to be our hound folk adventurer who's being shaken down by the old empire, probably crossing their territory. And what item drops out of their bag? Okay. Oh, first we have to de-escalate with the hostile, huh? If you successfully recover the bags, you may try to recruit them. What badge are they? No, I rolled the 2. Okay. Let's try and de-escalate the situation. So once again, this is a threaten. Now, it's a threaten plus 2 if I read that correctly. So once again, I have to roll my die. 5 plus 3, 6, 7, 8. So unless they roll a 6, I don't think they can take me on this, which they don't. Okay. So you can see that Redarr is walking, trying to find Tarl Narson's office to speak on what is happening with the prisoners, get some more information, right? And as that's happening, you can hear, stand down, Kionan. We will not hesitate to use force. And you can see the Kiono is like just gripping their belongings. So they're just, well, there's no reason. I'm not doing anything. I was just walking through. Is it a crime? Is it a crime to walk the face of Khatun? You are formerly an incarcerated inmate of Khatun. It is now under Imperial rule. You will be detained if you do not give over your possessions. But you're not yet in control. Khatun is basically on fringe territory. And they begin to like push. The guard pushes the Kyon, and he sort of stumbles backwards as things begin to get jostled. And that's when Redarr sort of steps forward. Immediately, Thrix cowers to the side, seeing the bounty hunter approach, almost expecting retaliation, when Redarr kind of steps in between the hound folk and the guard and says, "Now, I ain't old Empire, that much is true, but I got some good authority here at Fulcrum Station, considering I'm helping out your Tarl Narsen collect on a certain mutual enemy. I don't think you want to be rustling up any, my good friends while they're staying here at your humble accommodations at Fulcrum Point. Now do you, son?" And the guard sort of takes a look between the Kyono, who is looking at looking at Redarr with a mix of confusion and fear, and says, "This prisoner is under your protections. By law of the guild, by law as my right as a nomad, this one is under my jurisdiction. And as far as I'm concerned, you're poking your nose where it don't belong. And I can help you shorten it if you need some help." I say as I, slowly lean my gloved hand on my hip, just exposing, the slightest whisper of the hand cannon, that's resting there. And the guard reads that. And then, we have to roll this little situation here. They back down when they realize, that they're not the target. "Well, I'm sorry, did not realize that, this one was under your watch. I'll make sure that Tarl and the rest give them a wide berth. As you were, Nomad. As you were, Kyono." And then the guard sort of paces away. What falls out of the bag here? We're going to roll 2d100s. 46, 57. We got free nature. Interesting. What happens if I flip them? Information and inspect. Inspect information kind of sounds like what item falls from the bag. This is a prisoner and has inspect information. So I'm kind of hearing like a, maybe like a data pad? Like a scanner / data pad. Maybe like, oh man, one of those items like a beachcombing device to help find valuables in the rocky surface of Katoon. Something like that. So Redarr, seeing that once the Kyono got pushed and all of his belongings started spilling out of his bag, leans down, grabs the data pad and slowly begins to like reach up to hand it over to the Houndfolk. And you can see the Houndfolk doesn't actually know, I think, that Redarr is not actually trying to take him in. Like that is what that is what we said to talk down the guard in the moment, which worked. But the Kyono actually doesn't know if they're being taken in. And so I think the Kyono is like reaching his hand forward, but like shaking like, "Well, thank you. What should we do? I don't quite know the protocols for this sort of thing." And you can see probably he's just staring at, because they called out specifically our scar, our sort of cybernetic replaced eye, because to him it's probably thinking like, "Oh my god, like, are you scanning me? Are you trying to target me? Or, what's going on?" I think Redarr probably clocks this and sort of silently, sort of mentally commands the face shield of his armor, to sort of close shut. So the sort of grim look of the eye hole is shielded from the Kyonen's view. He says, "Now ease up, ain't no reason to get all skittered and scattered. I ain't here to take you in." And Thrix, finally grabs the data pad and like quickly shoves it into his bag. You're not? Nah, I ain't got no qualm with you, Kyono. I'm here on other business. I just don't take kindly to folks getting mistreated." Oh, well, thank you. It's a rare sort of behavior to find from, you know, a former inmate. And then Redarr sort of shakes his head and says, you'd be surprised what kind of mercy a nomad on the run can give to someone with a price on his head. You and I ain't too different right now, and as long as you keep your nose clean, I ain't got no reason to cross that bound. And the Kyonin shakes his head, sort of still confused, but putting the lines together. So far, as long as we're on good terms, I'm Thrix Vaughn. And sort of like does an uncharacteristically ceremonial bow of his overly long neck. And you are? Nomad, Redarr Kenth. Nice to meet you, Thrix. I think if we meet an adventurer, we may have the chance to recruit them. It isn't actually giving me the choice right here, but like in the fiction, it kind of makes sense that we would try, right? Like the way the scene is playing, it kind of feels like maybe they could be friends. So I kind of want to try it. Okay, so to do this, we need to roll our challenge die and then try to recruit by rolling half of our favor rounded up. So our favor's lower than our notoriety. We're scarier than we are diplomatic. Our favor right now is a 3. So if we roll that, okay, that's still a 6. That's pretty good. So then they're gonna roll their challenge die. Ooh, which is a 6. So the question is, what beats it? Is it meet or beat? Or is it if you match, you fail? If the result of the die, the nomad die, is higher than the challenge, yeah, all right, so it has to be higher. So if we roll a 6 and they roll a 6, unfortunately, I do not think we have the ability to conscript this friend, this possible friend. Bummer. But you know, I think during this interaction, we hand back the data pad and we say, hey, now, if you have any information on the goings-on here on Katoon, you've obviously spent some time here. I may be looking for a certain person of interest, and if you ain't minding returning the favor of me getting that Empire type off the back of your scruff there, and then you can see, I think at this point, Thrix like holds up his hands. Whoa! Well, I got a roll of the die, re-roll of the die. I'm gonna have to roll a 6, I think, so I can get the 7 Nar. But thank you. Let's see if I can do it. There's no reason not to try. Ah, the opposite. The opposite of a 6, a 1. I think at this point, you know, Thrix slowly backs away. I think partially because, once again, fearful of being associated with a nomad as a fugitive, and also, it seems to me the vibe I'm getting from Thrix, kind of a high-end criminal, right? Hey, Crafty, good to see you. Happy to have you here. Maybe even falsely accused, right? Maybe even like falsely imprisoned. And so I think, oh my gosh, again, hey, if you got the points, I'm willing to spend them. I'm willing to roll. Ah, that's a 4. We still need that. We still need a 6 to get Thrix. A 6 for Thrix. 6 for Thrix. Oh, you can't see the die result? My bad. Oh, I can see. Yeah, it's in the corner there. There you go. Actually, can I shrink this? I can probably put it right above. Look at that. Look at that. That's nice. I think doesn't want to get caught in the crossfire of any nomad business here on Katoon, and so your kindness is grand indeed, good nomad. But as you can see, the Empire are already not taking too kindly. Oh my goodness, another Thor voice, another. I like how the conversation is like ongoing and we just keep rolling. It's like he's fumbling through his words as we're trying to convince him. Whoa, that's the 6! It only took 3 re-rolls of the die, but eventually 6 for Thrix, 6 for Thrix. You know, he's sort of backpedaling. I do not think they will take kindly. And that's when Redarr sort of takes like a step forward and places a hefty mitt on the Kyoto's shoulder and says, listen, they ain't gonna touch you as long as I'm pacing with you. And even if they try, believe me, I got ways of dealing with them. I need information. You got a good head on your shoulders. I can tell from here. You help me get what I want, I help you get what you want. And then, you know, sort of Thrix tilts his head to the side, you know, that overly long neck sort of craning his skull sort of a wobbly direction. And what is it that you think I want, Nomad? And then that's when Redarr sort of like tips his hat. What everybody on Katoon wants, Thrix, I'ma get you off this rock, one way or another. Long as you make sure I'm paid my due. And that's when Thrix, I think the 6 for Thrix finally, you know, takes the cake, putting all of the pieces together. Oh, then, yes, I do believe we can work out some sort of arrangement. Surely. Excellent, Nar. Thank you for that 6. So let's take a look. We have to see what the benefit of conscripting the adventurer is, because for every adventurer or like a little friend we get a bonus. When you next encounter a lead or a target, you notice the damage being wrought upon this planet, and we gain 2 motivation. Okay, so Thrix has some extra knowledge on the persons of interest here. That's cool. So I'm gonna say adventure bonus. I like how that just made the text so tiny. Let's beef that text up. When you next encounter a lead or target, which actually should be pretty soon for us, because we have a lot of notoriety at this point. And all right. Now with that, we'll say they shake hands. I can see you drive a hard bargain, Nomad, but it is a good bargain, a gamble to take. Thrix Vaughn at your service. Happy to release any information that might be of use to your ongoing investigations. And that's when you can hear sort of some guards. Redarr Kenth, I believe Tarl Narson is ready to speak with you now. That's when Redarr takes a look at Thrix. I'm remembering everyone's name on the fly. Yeah, speaking of that ongoing investigation, Thrix, y'all just wait up here a moment. I got something I gotta take care of. And that's when Redarr will allow himself to be escorted by the Empire guards to speak with Tarl Narson. So this is, once again, we're kind of going off script here because we don't have an event that would specifically trigger right now. But I think that it is worthwhile that we brought the captives back, so it makes sense that they would interrogate the prisoners, right? And then probably have some useful information for us. So I think what we should do is probably just roll on the Mythic emulator and see kind of like what we get. So I'm gonna roll 2d100s. I got a 15 and a 91. So we got break. 91 is time. Break time. Break time. What happens if I flip it? I always like to do that. A completion of a threat. Ooh, the completion of a threat is interesting. So let's take a look at... So we have the Brack prisoners. what do we know about the Brack prisoners so far? The Brack prisoners. Break time sounds cataclysmic. that is true. That does sound like a or it's one or the other. It's either a galaxy shaking event, right? Or it's just everyone's chill. There's no in between there. You are very right, Nar. So what we know about the Brack prisoners is that they are technically employed by the admiral, the fleet, the old empire, but they are protecting Waldo, which Waldo stole from the old empire, the admiral. So that implies they are defectors or co-conspirators, right? We know that Waldo stole radar technology, and very specifically, they were using radar to map movements in deep space, but what for? Meteors, other phenomenon, or spaceships. Actually, when I see that, other phenomenon, maybe there is something there. What does the Empire really need? Maybe that radar technology. So maybe the radar was sort of sold as, a way to what's the word? Detect long-range spatial anomalies, right? But what they actually found was some sort of what was discovered, a temporal rift, right? Some sort of wound in time. Ooh, okay, wait, now I'm starting to put, okay. Now the wheels are turning, right? A wound in time, right? So why would the Empire want to make use of this wound in time? Well, they're called the Old Empire for a reason, right? It implies that they were in power and they had fallen out of it, right? So what if the Old Empire is trying to leverage this what do you call it? This temporal wound to manipulate space-time into a place where they were in power. Right? And that's sort of the secret. It was sort of sold as like, oh yeah, this thing, we're just mapping space anomalies. It's gonna help us, move our troops. It's gonna help us avoid asteroids. Not a big deal. No reason for you to all freak out. And then everyone, well, not everyone, Waldo certainly discovers, no, actually, you are going to fundamentally rewrite the fabric of the cosmos so that the Old Empire is like the leading force in deep space. And I don't think we can have that. So I think that Waldo is sort of an inside agent, right? Waldo is Imperial. Is an Imperial traitor, inside informant, trying to sabotage their plans, right? I like where this is going. It's definitely weird, but it's cool. It's different. And this might not all be information that is given to us from their interrogation, but this is information that, we should be logging. I think basically what happens is, Tarl invites us into his office, and I imagine that in, classic nefarious Imperial style, maybe it's sort of Are the colors of the Empire red and white? I definitely was thinking red as like one of the main color schemes. Am I missing a red and white reference that I should be getting? I can almost think of it as like it's sort of a one-way mirror, right? And it's he's on an observation deck with a one-way mirror that's like looking down into like the holding pen. And we can't see it because so Waldo, oh my god, that is the reference. Oh my god, that's how good you are at hiding, Nar. You hid that Waldo joke in plain sight, and it flew right over my head. So congratulations, you have successfully hidden Waldo for another day from right underneath my nose. So yeah, I think what happens is, you hear our spurs cling, cling, cling coming in, and as the doors open, we just see the back of Tarl, hands behind his back as he's looking into this observation deck. And at first, like, we don't really know what he's looking at. We can obviously see it's like some sort of bay that he's like looking into. But as like Redarr comes and says, "You wanted to speak with me, Tarl," and like our voice gets interrupted by, a very pained sort of, "Ah!" and you can hear like zapping and the sort of the slamming of force and pistons and electrical shocks. "Oh, we'll speak, stop!" And you can just hear a sort of self-satisfied little smug snicker on the Tarl's face, like, they always break in time, "No, please, we'll talk. And, sort of Redarr sort of pauses in his step. Something I think churns in his belly. Redarr is not the most moral of people, but I do think that the Empire is probably a step too far for even his usual moral compass, right? He doesn't love the Empire, but they got a lot of money, and that's what he needs right now. So I think he sort of like swallows hard and presses down his objections. Well, sounds like you got them rocks yapping. What do you have for me? And that's when Tarl sort of like spins on his heels. What I have is not for your ears to hear, Nomad. This is Imperial business, for the Admiral's communications only. That being said, what you should be aware of is that this Waldo is incredibly important to us. Preferably alive. Alright, I can work with that. Any reason why bringing back his hide in one piece is so compelling for you and this Admiral of yours? Suffice it to say that Waldo has certain developments from the Empire, which, if fallen into the wrong hands, could, of course, have grave consequences for the cosmos. You certainly wouldn't want to be a part of such a grand downfall of the Imperial arm, would you, Nomad? And you can see Redarr's sort of weighing up this Admiral. The Admiral wasn't too kind to him before either. I mean, he gets it. This is sort of what this guy's all about, right? Bossing people around and being a jerk. Alright, I see. Still something important to you. Seems to be the ramifications of this thing keeps getting a little wider, getting a little deeper. The more I know about what I'm trying to get for you, the easier it's gonna be to make sure I get it. More you hide from me, the more you keep bottled up, shadowed behind all these obfuscations, all these fancy words. Makes my job harder, that's all I'm saying. This scanner that Waldo has, it has the capabilities of detecting more than spacecraft, meteors, dangers apparent. there are certain aspects about the void, about that dark blanket of space, that even the technology available to us eludes. However, this breakthrough that we have developed will help us be able to better leverage ourselves against such anomalies. Alright, so it's... what? Wormholes? Faster than light? What are we talking about? And that's when Tarl, I think, sort of finally puts his hand down. I believe I've given you more than enough information. This is not a planetary or a ship-based radar you are looking for. You are looking for a radar that can pierce the veil of the wide reach of space itself. You will likely not recognize, as he sort of like, I think, makes a judgment call of our understanding of technology and like astronavigation. You will probably not recognize the importance of this device when it is revealed to you, but anything that Waldo has on his person is considered of great importance to the Empire, and we need it recovered intact, as we need Waldo recovered intact. Does the Empire make itself very clear? And that's when I think, you know, Redarr gets it. We're not gonna obtain all the information we want from Tarl. Maybe we don't even need it to get our job done, right? Maybe our curiosity is kind of being piqued to a dangerous point that we don't necessarily need to get wrapped up in, especially when it comes to Empire business. Yeah, that's understood. Listen, you got yourself a Keono out there, a former prisoner, goes by Thrix Vorn. Ah, yes. He was found scampering on the outskirts of Fulcrum Point. Former prisoners are under the watchful designation of, he's under my watch now. You understand. We got ourselves a bit of an arrangement. Believe it might be useful into our investigations on Waldo. You ain't gonna touch hide nor hair of him, and he's gonna be considered an extension of my business here on Katu. Savvy? And that's, you know, Tarl, I think, you know, a sort of disgusted frown sort of pulls into the corner of his lips, but then hearing another pained warble from the observation deck below, oh, please! I think that even becomes like a more sickening smile, you know, remembering his victories. Fine, the Keono means nothing to us here anyway. You can do with the Hound what you wish. Mighty obliged. I think with all that being said and done, we can call our meeting adjourned. What'd you say, Captain? Indeed. Adjourned. And sort of like waves us off, you know, with one hand. As we, you know, turn around and begin to stride out, we probably grumble something unbecoming under our breath as Tarl goes back to the observation deck and watches the imminent torture below. Alright, so we got some interesting threads working here. I like what we got going on. So we walk out. We see Thrix sort of waiting, you know, patiently outside of the office with probably, you know, 2 guards on either side keeping an eye. Redarr walks out. Thrix sort of instinctively stands up very attentively. No reason for all that, and the guards sort of like shift to look at, you know, the quick movement of the prisoner, and that's when Redarr, you know, holds his hand up, and there definitely ain't no reason for that. Arms down. And, you know, the soldiers slowly slacken their grip. I got it on good authority from Tarl. Thrix is with me now. We're gonna be taking our leave. You can consider a payment for these prisoners you got hauled up down there. And the guards sort of look to each other, nod. This makes sense. At ease. On your way, Nomad. And that's when we got Redarr sort of, you know, cocks his head to the side. Come on, Thrix. We got a ways to go. Yes, of course, right away. Sort of like ambles after, sort of like keeping his long neck craned down, clutching his bag, thankful for being escorted out of Empire proximity, but still a little nervous as to what his role will play in this story. So that takes us out of Destination 3, which is a return to Fulcrum Point. And now we head into the exploration phase. The one thing, I don't know if my PDF copy is just bad. Not bad as in, like, it's obviously a great quality PDF, but my search functions are good. Like, you can see here, it clicks everything through pretty easily, but if you click on anything else, it defaults to the top of the document. So it's a little annoying when I'm trying to do the exploration sections, but, you know, could be worse. So let's take we're gonna take a little journey, right? Back into Katoon. I think at this point, the freighter probably transported our hover bike, right? So we mosey on our way over towards the hover bike. We throw our leg over. We, you know, tap the seat behind us as Thrix throws his bag over his shoulder, hops on behind, grabs us by the shoulder. We hit our heels down on the thruster, and we speed away from Fulcrum Point, kicking up gray moon rock and dust in our wake on the barren, lifeless surface of Katoon as we head into Explore. Okay, so roll on the exploration table to find out what happens as you travel. To use the exploration, roll 2 dice. One determines the tables, and the other is the event. So we roll 2d6. We're gonna go 1, and we're gonna go 2. There's no sign of your target, but something interrupts your hunt. Roll once on the exploration events table. Okay, so we got the 5. And then, so this is table 5, 6, so we roll again, we got a 6. You find yourself amongst a procession of locals. They're heading out towards a distant shrine to witness a particular event. Interesting. A shrine. Because this is a prison planet. A former prisoner planet. Before it was sort of thrown into disarray by the battle between the space pirates and the old empire. So we see a gang of locals, which are heading out towards a distant shrine, and if they're locals, they are former prisoners of Katoon, right? So they are traveling in a procession towards a shrine, and then roll for an event. I'm kind of curious what the shrine is, though. I kind of want to resolve that first. So I'm going to roll some on the GM emulator and see what we get. We got Deny 62 Obscurity. Deny Obscurity. What happens if we flip it? I always like seeing the opposite. Extravagance 62. Extravagant move. Extravagant move. Or Deny Obscurity. Extravagant move is kind of speaking to me, because to me what that kind of reads is like, instead of a shrine, perhaps it's when I hear extravagant move and they're moving in a procession, right? To me it kind of sounds like they're all carrying bits of salvage. It kind of feels to me like they're building something, right? Moving towards extravagance, moving towards something. Maybe they're trying to, now that the prison complex is kind of destabilized, and there's sort of this ongoing battle between the space pirates who have liberated them and have kind of let the planet become this like lawless, wasteland, and the Empire, who is like trying to retain order but is struggling. Maybe they're sort of trying to build their own society here out of what's left over. Kind of like a junk town Fallout kind of vibe, you know? So they're moving towards extravagance. They're moving towards building this like kind of new existence. So when I hear shrine, it's like not quite a shrine, but maybe like a mecca, a holy place in terms of like for them. It's like they're going to be their new way of life. Carrying bits of salvage, creating a place of communion amongst prisoners. Junktown, Fallout, or Rapture from BioShock. Oh yeah, true. Like now that there's no overseer, right? Like to rein them in, like they're free to do what they will. Yeah, we'll say like dystopian. It's certainly a dystopia. Sort of a dystopian free-for-all. So yeah, we see like this group of former prisoners sort of carrying a bunch of salvage. They're trying to build something greater than themselves. Then roll a die. So I'm gonna roll d6. I got a 4. The minor faction springs an ambush. Whoa! Okay, we have to remember who is a minor faction here, because there's I think that's the Red Moon Syndicate, the Spicer Gang. But I want to make sure. Also, just double checking that that Thrix's thing isn't available to us here. It says when you next encounter a lead or a target. So no, these aren't leads or targets. These are just hostiles. Okay, so Katoon Prison Planet. We got the minor faction. Yeah, that's the Kuda Gang. Yeah, the minor faction is the Kuda Gang. They are aligned with the Red Moon Syndicate. Dang. Okay, so interesting. So minor faction, Kuda Gang, stages an ambush on the locals. That's interesting. Now, why would they do that? Fight off 3 hostiles, which I can speak to. Gain 1, or it does say fight off, but hostiles always implies that you have the ability to talk them down. But then again, but this is tough. Because the Kuda Gang, they aren't the Red Moon Syndicate, they're allied. The Red Moon Syndicate wants our head, right? They're the ones who, when we had the original hit for Navi Mod that ended up being a ploy, right, that got us in trouble, that was the Red Moon Syndicate's hit. So when we didn't pull back that cash for them, they're the ones who moved the price on our heads and made us move to the outer, I almost said outer rim, the outskirts, right? And we also dealt with the Kuda Gang earlier, right? Yeah, we fought Ogzut, who was a spice miner. We beat her up. I think we spared her. So I don't think this is aimed at us necessarily. I think this is aimed at the locals. Because the spicers, if they're trying to use the planet for mining for spice, having the prisoners organize is probably bad for business, right? Because they're going to be competition. They don't want if anything, they want the prisoners, instead of becoming independent, to pledge allegiance to the Kuda Gang, so that they have more manpower, they have more arms and backs to put into the spice mining trade, right? So this is probably in an effort to shake them down, to scare them off, to make sure that they can't sort of build, carry their salvage and build what they want to build. Ooh, that's interesting. Okay, so the minor faction springs an ambush. Fight off 3 hostiles at +2. Okay, so hostiles at +2. It says 3. So I think what I can do, you may try to threaten any hostiles you meet to warn them off without resorting to violence. If you're using the threaten on multiple opponents, resolve the reaction against the weakest opponent first and work your way up. If you fail, you may not try to threaten anymore. So I have to threaten all of the hostiles to make sure that this doesn't happen, right? So we are on, you know, the back of our hover bike. We are churning through the gray wastes of Katoon. And you can see, I think, the long neck of Thrix sort of like cranes downward as he sees a long line of others like dressed up in a similar, you know, dingy, like former repurposed prison wear as him, sort of marching towards the distance. As Redarr sort of, you know, tilts his head to the side, watching the same scene. Thrix, what's up with your friends there? You got some business up in the hills? Well, I suppose you could say that. Now that the Empire has loosened its grip unwillingly on Katoon, some of us do believe there could be a new life that we could forge for ourselves here. Something greater than what we once had, what we once were. Katoon could be repurposed, could be made something profitable, purposeful. We'll see. There's still a great deal of hostility on the surface, and even amongst the former inmates, there was a great deal of discontent. And then, like, as he's, like, continuing, I think we see, you know, a flash, and we hear an explosion, and we hear some screams. As you can... probably there was, like, some sort of... maybe like trip mine or some sort of obstacle that was placed in the procession's path, since the Kuda gang kind of knows the routes that these prisoners would be taking. And you can hear some screams, and you can see some of the salvage being like thrown up into the air as from behind like some of the rock formations, we can see like the black leather, the armored black leathers of the Kuda gang, you know, emerging, and you can see some shots, you know, being shot into the air. You can hear some shouts as they're trying to like corral and scatter the prisoners, and that's when Redarr, you know, sort of grits his teeth because the Red Moon, it could be even that Redarr is like riding with them, since they probably know Thrix. And so they're just probably like traveling together because it's like safety in numbers, right? So it's not so much that we even have the ability to intervene, it's that we are already a part of the procession, just sort of traveling along with them, making sure they're safe from like any scavengers or, you know, hostile wildlife. And when someone, you know, blasts off the tripwire, maybe we are like thrown from our hover bike and we, you know, grab Thrix in midair as we hit the ground and roll and spin out in the dust, you know, keeping Thrix safe. And as we lift up our heads, that's when we see the Kuda gang beginning to descend down on us. And that's when Redarr sort of stands, you know, flips up a pistol into his hand, and it holds out one fist in their direction, and says, "Hey now, Kuda gang. I know I've been here just a short while, but I already had dealings with Ogzut over there at Needle Drop Quarry. Yeah, I bet you know that name. Alright, I don't know what business you have here with these folks, but Ogzut has business with me, alright? This is nomad business we're on. I suggest that you turn around, you leave these folks go." And so that is when we're going to start trying to threaten our way through. Alright, so they are at a threaten +2, and we are at notoriety +3, right? So If you're using the threaten resolve, if you fail, you may not try to threaten any more hostiles. So it's if we fail once, we fail on all. And they all have the same threaten rating, so unfortunately no one is weaker than anyone here. All right, so first things first, we're gonna roll for us. Okay. We got a threaten 5 for Redarr. That ain't bad. And, but they gotta roll. They're at a +2. All right. Oh gosh. They have a what is that? Reply 7. So the Kuda gang, they do not seem very fazed by Redarr's attempt to talk them down. I think the Kuda gang, if I'm not mistaken, where is the guild? Oh yeah, the factions, that's what I want. The Kuda gang, want to remember. Green Aurora, Admiral's Fleet, Huskers, Corsairs, led by the mask-wearing Kudas, a fish-like species. Yeah, they're not, a lot of them aren't native to Katoon. The disruptive arrival has pushed them to seek, okay, so the Kuda gang, so they're wearing these black leathers. They all wear, what are them? I imagine their masks, since they're like a fish-like species, is almost like a helmet which like connects around their necks to like provide, kind of like in Hellboy, how Abe has like the neck gear that like constantly feeds him water. So even though he's like amphibious at best, aquatic at most, like he can continue to like breathe on the surface, right? So that's what I imagine the Kuda gang headwear is like. You know, it's like the sort of like big, I mean the faceplate's probably like carved to look intimidating, but really what it serves is like this sort of neck apparatus which is feeding liquid into like maybe like a backpack, so that the Kuda gang can continue to breathe nominally in non-aquatic environments. So probably gives their speech like a sort of like wobbly, interesting, texture. And so, the Kuda gang looks back and forth between one another. You know Ogzut? We know Ogzut. Ogzut gave us these orders personally, and she wants to make sure they are seen through. So you either stand aside, or you, as they like point their pistols at us, get put down. And that's when Redarr like sort of like takes a step back. Stand aside or get set down. Funny. I was gonna offer you the same chance. And that's whenever they like look back and forth to each other, and then they begin to fire, and that's when Redarr takes a leap behind, some of the dropped salvage and rock formations as the fight begins to spill out proper. So let's quickly put on some more thrilling music. All right, and get ready for a fight. So we have 3 hostiles at +2. And then we have Redarr himself. So the laser, all right, so we're gonna say that we're starting at range, right? So Redarr's got a lot of attack power on his pistols. We're gonna roll for us. Oh gosh, that's a 1. Ugh. All right, so Redarr is first shot. Kuda gang is at +2. Okay. But Kuda gang is at 4. Which we still beat by 1. Barely, but we get there. So I think the way they talk me of the blubbering Gungan King on Naboo and the Phantom Menace, yeah, that's kind of what I was channeling. Kenobi. Definitely what I'm thinking of channeling there. So Redarr jumps behind some of the salvage. You can see some of the other prisoners duck down, put hands above their heads as the Kudas begin to fire shots into the crowd. There are bits of salvage and rock being like exploded above our heads as Thrix is, huddling behind the same barrier, clutching his things and sort of shaking. As Redarr flips his guns up into his hands. Don't y'all worry, Thrix. Ain't nothing I ain't seen before. And wheels up around the barrier, taking big shots out of his hand cannons. You can see some of the Kuda manage to dodge out of the way themselves, but one is just not quick enough and just boom, takes one in the shoulder, boom, takes one in the chest, boom, takes another one in the gut, and that last one just picks him up off of his feet due to the sheer size and strength of the shots of our hand cannon. Picks him up off of his feet, lands him on the ground. You can see some inky purple goo, which is Kuda blood gang, seeping out of the back and getting soaked into the gray waste beneath him. So that is one hostile down. Alright. So then I think at that point, the Kuda gang might want to try and flush us out. So as they're behind their barrier, you can see the two Kuda look towards each other as one nods and the other one reaches down onto their utility belt, and in their hands pulls out a silver cylinder, clicks a button, and it's some sort of thermal detonator. Kudos for the Kuda kill, says Nar. Nar, I forgot about your alliterative power. I don't know why I should. It is always so on point, but thank you. Kudos for the Kuda kill. Then the Kuda throws it over his head as it ping, 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 lands behind the barrier, and you can see it beginning to prime. Let's see if we can dodge this in time. So first things first for the Kuda. Oh, man. Kuda has got an 8 for the explosion. But perhaps... Oh, but we still have a chance to retaliate. So there could be a chance that maybe I shoot it out of the air. I'd have to roll high, though. I'm at a +4. So I would need to... Oh, gosh. Okay. Ooh. We looked at this before, right? I have to be higher. I can't match it. I think we figured that out before. Oh my gosh, it'd be so sick if I could blast it out of the air. Reactions. Success and failure. If the result of the Nomad die is higher than the challenge. Oh. Yeah, so if they rolled a 6 + 2 and then I rolled a 4 + 4, 8 matches, which means we do not beat it. So... Let me take a look at Redarr's gear. I don't think we're out yet. Maybe some capable Kuda know sci-fi kung fu. Well, they might get up on us in a second. Let's see. I think I do have at least one defense. Yeah, I do have one defense. Okay. So what happens here? Let's go back to our current job. So, Redarr's shot is also an 8. So we do not have time to shoot it out of the air, which means we just turn our head in time to see the thermal detonator about to explode. We leap and throw ourselves over Thrix as the detonator goes off. And we managed to clear the blast zone, but not before some shrapnel and some, superheated explosive residue scours our back and burns through some of our leathers and armor. So unfortunately, we do take a damage. We only have 2 defense, so we can only take 2 of those before we get defeated. So, So we got minus, we lose 1 armor, 1 armor left. Okay, so now let's see what happens here. Let's see if one tries to approach us while we're down. I'll just roll a challenge die. I'll just see if so, then capable Kung Fu Kuda could carry this combat with their cunning. This is all Mortal Kombat, by the way. Everything is with a K and not a C. All right. So let's see if one of the Kuda, yeah, like seeing us, you know, dodge out of the way, but we're like smoking, right? And we had to leap out from behind the barrier, our temporary cover. One of the Kuda reaches down and shing, pulls out another sort of silver device on their hip. And just because they're fish folk, I'm gonna say that it unfolds into like a trident, like a little miniature spear, right? And rushes forward at us. They're rushing. Oh my god. They're rushing forward with a 6. They're rushing forward with a 6. +2 is an 8. Kuda 8 in melee. So the 2 Kuda are rushing in melee. I might have the opportunity to shoot at one, but then have to face the other face to face. Oh my gosh. I don't think I have any motivation left. I burn it all in that last fight. I have a +4 on this shot. I need to roll higher than a 4. Oh. No. Why am I cursed? Why am I cursed? Okay. So, with a 1 plus a 4, that's a Redarr shot 5. Which does not beat the 8. Dang, we just did not roll too tight there. And so, I think we have to now figure out what happens when we're defeated. Threaten, attack. Okay, outcome. If we are successful... Oh. Attack works? Oh, that's if we... Yeah. So if we fail, if an attack after exhausting defense and motivation, it's time for you to roll your fate. Roll your die. Okay. Gosh, what happens to us? A 5. You flee from the confrontation or hide somewhere unusual, lose 1 notoriety or 1 favor. Okay, so not the worst. Only once the entire attack reaction has been resolved, win or lose, do you refresh your defense to its original value. Okay, so what happens here, I think, is we get up, right? We see them bearing down on us with the tridents. Kuda Knight cuts Redarr with a cleaving clash. Yeah, I think we like stand up and we're about to like blast one of them, but we do not see they have these like extendable tridents as they reach forward, and they. I'd like to imagine that there's probably like maybe they are they're tridents, but the ends of them are like energy, right? So it's like force. It's like, and it like pierces our armor. We fall back. We take a shot that like goes wide, like sails past the Kuda, and maybe like catches one of their tanks, right? So there's an explosion on the tank, and it begins shooting water out in like great droves as they collapse on their knees, and you can hear their breathing becoming really ragged. And the other Kuda like rushes to their side and like begins like really worriedly beginning to like try and patch at the apparatus connected to their necks. Don't worry, I'm here. Sort of like trying to like patch them up. And it's here that we take this opportunity, right? We like hit a few buttons on our wrist device. I imagine we probably have like some sort of cool, little wrist computer. Beep, 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 beep. And you can see the hover bike sort of rev up to life behind us and sort of self-right itself, since it does hover, right? It can like clean itself up off of the ground. So the tridents shoot out energy, so they double as a ranged weapon. That's neat. Yeah, I dig that. We originally said they were holding their pistols like pistols, but we can retcon that. We have ranged attack tridents. That's pretty baller. But we hit our wrist communicator, so the hover bike rights itself, and then with a big thrust, it like rockets in our direction, sailing near the Kuda. The Kuda both jump out of the way to make sure they are not taken by the hover bike as we throw our wounded body on top of the hover bike, which is speeding by, and we probably have Thrix by like the neck of his jumpsuit. As dragging his heels in the dust as the bike careens, out into the. Nar says, "Oh, I thought that's what you meant originally." Listen, Nar, that idea is cool, so we're keeping it. Doesn't matter who thought of it, okay? It's a collaborative community storytelling effort here, okay? It's cool. We're keeping it. We have laser shooting tridents for the Kuda gang. It's very on brand. And then we are pretty much with our tail between our legs, and certainly with Thrix's tail between his legs, we blast our way into the hillsides. We abandon the prisoners to their fate with the Kuda gang, so that we can escape with our lives. And we lose 1 notoriety or 1 favor. So what do we want to lose? I think we lose the favor because the notoriety is well, the notoriety is important to find leads. But also it does kind of make more sense that we would lose the notoriety, right? Because they're not as scared of us because we had to retreat from the fight. Unfortunately, we had to retreat from the fight. So maybe that's what we lose. As much as I hate to lose it, I don't think we would lose. I'm gonna put on some more chill music now that we're out of a fight zone. Yeah, I think unfortunately I think we have to lose the notoriety. Ugh, it hurts. It stings. I love having the notoriety. But Redarr is forced to retreat by remote summoning the hover cycle, and we have to find ourselves a weird place to hunker down and heal. So let's see. Yeah, you flee from the confrontation. Oh, or hide somewhere unusual. So we designated that we fled, right? And we leave the prisoner caravan to their fate, rather unfortunately. Man, that was rough. But hey, you can't win them all. They were rolling so high. I had a +4 to all of my shots. They rolled 2 6s. The Kuda gang wanted us. And it probably makes sense that they wanted us since they're Red Moon affiliated. So they might have also, aside from the fact that we ruffled the feathers of Ogzut, who's Kuda, Spice Mine Kuda affiliated. Yeah, probably didn't like the fact that Red Moon wants us to. So we flee. We flee to fight another day. Let's check out our destination 4. Last time I looked at the destination rules, I got so confused. Hopefully it makes a little bit more sense to me this time. I don't know why, because I've done this game how many times, but I just got all turned around. All right, so we flee the battle with Thrix on our bike, and we're gonna roll. 2. You arrive at a busy dockyard. Kuda's cunning caught victory this day. Nar, why did you have to remind me? Nar, we wasted. I shouldn't say we wasted. We got ourselves a. We got ourselves an ally, but we used all of our rerolls trying to get that dang dog. Can I pet that dog? We used so many rerolls trying to pet that dang dog that we lost. We lost to the Kudas. Where's he hunkering down? That is a great question. We are arriving at a busy dockyard run by the challenging faction. I have to keep reminding myself who's the challenging faction. I think the challenging faction is the Admiral's fleet. Yeah, we keep running into a lot of Empire territory. Okay, so this is a dockyard. So let's see if we can get ourselves a quick name for the dockyard, because this is not Fulcrum Point. It's not what these ones I didn't love. Okay, I like this one more. I like this one more. Okay, so this dockyard. This one is called Apex Harbor. So we have Fulcrum Point and Apex Harbor. So dockyard run by challenging faction. This is the old Empire. Let's increase our text size here. You think he's in an old fisherman's hut or on a ship or something. Interesting. Dockyard, I initially thought as a spaceport, but fisherman's hut or on a ship, that's interesting. Yeah, it could be. It could be that. So this is. What did I say this was? Apex Harbor? Apex Harbor. We could say that this is for. Katoon is like this rocky, gray, desolate, moon-like planetoid. So maybe their water. Isn't like, maybe it isn't like water in the traditional sense. Maybe it's sort of like this viscous oil-like liquid. They have like lakes and seas of black ooze. I kind of like that. So maybe these are like Imperial Sludge Skiffs, I'm gonna call them. These would be used to transport goods on a surface level. That's kind of cool. It's different. So we're at Apex Harbor. So yeah, we can say that this might have been. Yeah, I mean, it's run by the challenging faction, but it doesn't necessarily have to be built by them. So maybe this is one of the reformed prisoner settlements, right? That is now controlled by the Empire, right? So this is like how we just ran into them trying to like build another settlement. This would be like one that they did successfully build or sort of like repurpose. But then as soon as they kind of like got their mitts on it, the Empire was like, well, we'll be taking that. And so there are like rows upon rows of like red armor clad troopers that are marching up and down the, these sort of junk piled streets. you know, setting up watchtowers and like, you know, very iron-fisted kind of control. And probably we got there, now that I'm thinking about it, because Thrix, who is one of the former inmates on Katoon, you know, would know about Apex Harbor and lead us there as we are escaping, right? So Thrix, which is, hey, I guess a good reason why we saved Thrix from Imperial incarceration. So Thrix leads us to Apex Harbor. Red and white armor clad, perhaps? Of course, we're never gonna find Waldo here, unfortunately. So let's see what happens to us at Apex Harbor. Choose one. Search for anyone who might know your target to gain 1 favor. Interesting. Speak with a local here. Oh, this music is like very, what's the word? A little too upbeat for Apex Harbor. Or speak with a local who works here to rest to gain 1 motivation. Interesting. We just lost a favor. No, sorry, we just lost a notoriety. And searching for the target is kind of what we're here for, but we just did get our butt handed to us. We just got our butt handed us. So maybe we do take a moment here to rest, and then we get motivation, which we do need to help us win future fights. That seems like the safest bet. He is everywhere, and he is nowhere. Waldo's too good at this game. Yeah, let's speak. I feel like maybe that's best. All right. Okay. So speaking with locals, we had to add half of our favor. Oh, we're gonna have to look at the speak table from here since it is different. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna copy this and I'm gonna paste it into our scene. He could be you, he could be me, he could even be get shot in the head randomly. He could be all of us. I am Spartacus, I am Waldo. All right, so we're gonna speak with a local and then gain 1 motivation. So I'm gonna mark the motivation on my sheet right now, since that is basically why I'm doing this and I don't wanna lose that progress. Let's head back up to speak. Yeah, this music's a lot more Apex Harbor-y. We got... So first, we're gonna roll our die. We can add half of our favor rounded up, which is 1. Okay. 6 is decent. So we're gonna speak 6. And I don't think they get any bonus of the challenge die. This is just a regular conversation, really no big stakes happening here. Yep, so speak 4. So versus 4, we do succeed. So who do we end up speaking with? Let's roll a d6 and find out who we speak to. 4. They believe the planet itself is now at risk. What delicate ecosystem is a faction disrupting with their selfish actions? Oh, interesting. They believe this planet, the ecosystem. Oh, that's interesting. This is like, they're a part of like the Sludge Sea, so maybe they have like a big opinion on how the Empire is managing all of the Sludge Skiffs and everything, and like this like oil liquid sea that they transport themselves on. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, cool. So this might be also interesting. So what if Thrix knows this person? Thrix knows our local, since he's the one who led us here. So the question is, who is the local that we're speaking to? We know that they have an opinion on the Empire running the Sludge Skiffs. So that's worthwhile to know. But who is this person? Who is our new contact? Let's take a look at the Katoon planet. I'm gonna roll a d6 to see to, they're Besnik. Those are the hog folk. They are the, like, Gamorrean equivalent, right? And let's see. I'm going to say 1 to 2 fem, 3 to 4 mass, 5 to 6 non-bi. Okay, non-bi. And then we need a name. Give me a... Let's see. So the first one was Ogzut, was the first one we met. So this is Snagnak. Ogzut and Snagnak. Okay, so who is Snagnak? Snagnak. So they are a former prisoner. And what they are, they them. Good to know. Maybe their oil sludge could be something that they export often after refining. Ooh, interesting. Maybe it's quite toxic or even lethal in its raw form, but when it's refined, it is valuable. Yeah, they could be depleting. They could be depleting the oil reserves. Which could be, oh yeah, and like the planet is becoming like, there's like tremors because they're like mining it up. It's like destabilizing the, what's the word? The infrastructure of the region. For fuel. Capturing for fuel. And just so we have a bit of an idea of what Snagnak looks like, let's go to our NPC emulator real quick. We got 10 and 6. So ragged and dirty clothes makes sense. And tattoos, okay. All right. I kind of like the idea. So we got tattoos. What kind of tattoos does Snagnak have? They are a part. Maybe it's like I'm just kind of like getting these like mariner vibe, right? Because we're in this like harbor town. So maybe it's a bunch of like I'm thinking like future mariner tattoos. So it's like the sludge skiffs like on like the waves with like you know, anchors, if you will. Anchors, nautical motifs. I'm gonna put nautical in quotes. Nautical motifs. So the evidence is all around us. Perfect. So this scene, we're gonna speak with the local who works here, we're gonna rest. So yeah, I think Thrix leads us here. We are battered, we are beaten, our leathers and our armors are singed from the detonations from the Kuda gang. And I think like we're like slumped over the controls of the hover bike. We are just on, we're ghost riding it essentially. Maybe an alien sci-fi mermaid. Oh my gosh, Nar, I love that. That is such a good idea. Nautical motifs, alien mermaid. I love that. That's such a good idea. And I think Thrix almost sort of like leans over us and like you know, says, Redarr, my good man, if I could make a suggestion, I do believe I could find you a place where you could hang your hat, so to speak, literally and perhaps figuratively as well. And Redarr's like, lead the way, Thrix. I'm gonna need a moment to patch myself up. And, you know, rooms our way into Apex Harbor. I think because we are registered as on contract from the old Empire, we can get into Apex Harbor without a good deal of resistance. And Thrix probably knows his way around here because I imagine he's probably spent some time here at the old prison complex. And leads us to Snagnak. whatever version of a mermaid swims through that sludge must be horrifying, but maybe the locals find it attractive. I'm getting remember Ben 10 Ripjaws? That's what I'm seeing in my mind. I'm seeing like a hot Ripjaws, quote unquote. And so Thrix sneaks us into Snagnak's parlor. Snagnak, I imagine, probably has like a ramshackle, patched together sort of like tin hut that is like overlooking this like sort of sludge fall. Perhaps probably has some quote unquote fishing lines thrown into the oil, but they're kind of just like big industrial cables, right, that are attached to like wide nets. There's no sort of precise fishing that happens, you know, with the sludge skiffs. Like anything that is in there is probably like some slow-moving, cantankerous, crustaceous sort of being that can survive in like rough environments. So nothing like, you know, bobs in the water and you pull out of the sludge. You like scrape them out of the ooze, you know, over a long period of time, like sort of like crab traps is probably what Snagnak does. And, you know, hearing a hover bike approach their shack, I think Snagnak, you know, immediately reaches over the counter and grabs like an oversized meat cleaver, which is like designed to cut through crustaceous shells, and like leans over. Yeah, something to say. You better show yourself before I start chopping. And that's whenever, you know, Thrix pops his overly long neck out from over the counter of Snag's, you know, little shopkeep desk. Oh, Snag, it's Thrix. Sorry to drop by unannounced. And that's when, you know, Snag just, you know, slams the cleaver into the desk. Ah, Thrix, you didn't let me know you were coming by. Ah, come on in. And, you know, Thrix says, I hope you don't mind. I brought a guest. The more the merrier, you know. And that's when, you know, Thrix begins to drag, you know, the battered Redarr on his shoulder. And that's when Snag sees that it's a nomad, a bounty hunter that Thrix is dragging in. And I think then sort of like, you know, grips the meat cleaver a little more tightly. Thrix, what are you up to? No. I assure you, this fine gentleman's in good standing. I'm not being brought here against my will. There's no bounty on your head that I am aware of. No, indeed, this one, I don't mean you any harm. I'm sorry to drop by like this. I was helping Thrix out of a jam. I got myself banged up pretty bad, just looking for a place to lay low for a while. You don't mind I sit a spell? And, you know, Snag sort of eyes Thrix, and then Redarr warily. Just 'cause I owe Thrix one. But don't get too comfy. And, you know, Redarr says, mighty fine, much obliged. And wheels himself over into a corner, you know, starts rifling through his gear, pulls out some Medigel, some med packs, starts patching up his wounds. I'm not being brought here against my will. Yes, very convincing. Listen, we know Thrix is more forthcoming than he is conniving. Snag probably knows that. While they're sitting together, Thrix can take some time to let Snag know what happened. Got accosted by the Empire on the outskirts of Fulcrum Point. Snag probably knows exactly what that's like, living in Apex Harbor. Empire always breathing down their neck, not very happy about it. They probably, you know, share some bitter words with each other over that. Snag probably serves them an alcohol, which is just like swill, just like superheated swill that just like gets you so out of your mind buzzed. But, you know, it's, like, good for the ex-prisoners here living on Katoon. Probably they filter it, they siphon it out of the fuel sludge, right? From the sludge skiffs. It's probably, like, could serve as fuel if you needed it to, but people also drink it. And, you know, tries to feed them some of the local catch which is probably this just like gristly, grimy, crustaceous meat from some like almost like beetle-like aquatic creature, crab beetle aquatic creature, which is disgusting. But it's probably the only like proper food that's not like in a pellet form that Redarr's had in a little while, and he does his best to stomach it and grin and bear it. And they trade some words over the movements of the Empire, how the Empire are, Snag probably has some words to say.
Well, they took Apex, said they keep us safe, but the only thing they want to keep safe is their pockets, lining it off our sludge, lining off our fuel. You know what we could do with this if we could export it ourselves? But no. They got their warships to fill. They got their friends to make rich. And now you can see it's spilling down into and just like, has a whole spiel about the environmental impacts, the destabilization of the wells because the Empire are drilling too deeply. And so we sit through that long enough to try to get some information about the local area, about Waldo, right? But unfortunately, I don't think that Snag is probably too well informed on Empire defectors in this area. Nar says, a random thought, but if there's that much sludge and oil to make up their sea, then this planet's versions of whales must be massive. Ooh, that's really creepy. That's like, what is that? Thalassophobia, when you fear what's in the deep because of what is like unknown, how the size and the scale of it. Oh my god, yeah. Like, sludge whales. Sludge whales. Ginormous. Is that a word? Ginormous? Ginormous thalassophobia. Yeah, I'm gonna make a note of that in case that becomes relevant one day. So unfortunately, I don't think we learn much about our quarry. But we do have the time to get our motivation. We still have lost that one notoriety, but small price to pay. And I think at that point, Redarr finally patches himself up, says, Snag, you've been a mighty fine host. I can't promise I can do anything about how the Empire's treating your folk or treating your sludge, but I can hopefully maybe get him to stop breathing down Katoon's neck once I find this Waldo. It's the best I can do. If you ever need anything in kind for the service you paid me today, you just give me a buzz. And I think, Redarr will probably give like his communicator code to Snag for their goodwill. Any friend of Thrix is a friend of mine. You just keep that rough one safe. And you can see like Knack probably like puts their big muscly arm around the overlong, stretchy neck of Thrix, gives them like a noogie. And Thrix, trying to keep as much stature as he can. Snag, please. Not in front of our friend here. So trying to keep his bearings. But Redarr just, gives a little smile as they mosey on back towards their hover bike and begins trying to get back on the trail of good old Waldo. So let's take a look here. Oh, this is Exploration 5, not 4, right? Yeah, it's Exploration 5. So, we're back on the trail. We gotta go back to the hunt. Where is the hunt? Hunt, where are you? Progression, there we go. We need the exploration. Okay. To use the exploration table, roll 2 dice. Roll 2. If your notoriety is 6 or higher, no, we just lost that notoriety. You jerk. Oh, why did I not lose the favor? We could have had our next lead right now. Ah, those Kuda gangers. Otherwise, roll once on the exploration table. What a bummer. Okay, we were so close. 5. So that is here. And then we roll again to see what event we get. 3.
You find a bounty puck on the floor that reveals a holographic image of your target. There must be another nomad nearby. Yo! Rival nomad on our target. Okay, so interesting. So exploration, so we find a nomad puck. So we find this at Apex Harbor. Nomad puck, or a bounty puck they called it? Bounty puck at Apex Harbor. Waldo isn't notorious for being hard to find for nothing. I know. Just we almost had a chance and he slipped through our fingers. But it looks like somebody else is also looking for Waldo. Where is Waldo? Bounty puck at Apex Harbor contains a hollow image of Waldo. Ooh, we got another nomad on the trail. Okay. Another nomad. Whoa, I know the last time we had another nomad appear in our story, it was kind of spicy for us. There must be a nomad rolled by. Roll a d6. Okay, 1 to 2. A rookie nomad is caught in a minor faction's trap. Defense +3. Break it to recruit them. Ooh, interesting. A rookie nomad. Who do they remind you of? Oh no. Okay. It's gonna get a little sad, but I have an idea. So Redarr's whole story, right? The whole reason he became a bounty hunter in the first place is because he was like an abandoned like rough youth, right? And he was found by another nomad named Kel Woe, right? And Kel broke guild code by adopting him, essentially, and bringing him into the bounty hunting profession. Now, Kel, specifically, is of an alien species called the Onsiet, who have many eyes, right? Specifically leathery red skin, I said for Kel, and 4 jet black eyes. So what if this nomad is Onsiet, right? So it's kind of like this mirror of like an Onsiet nomad adopted Redarr and brought him into the life of bounty hunting, but now, you know, Redarr sees another rookie, a young nomad who is Onsiet, who is in trouble, and it reminds them of Kel. And there's a big wound, there's a big hole in Redarr's heart for Kel because Kel's gone missing, partially because of a bad call that Redarr made, right? That's like the whole reason why Redarr started bounty hunting, or started searching for Kel, and the whole reason why Danica turned against him, because she thought something bad happened to Kel, that Redarr tried to take him out, or something nefarious. Oh man. Oh, the narrative layers are just folding in on top of each other. Yeah, what if this bounty hunter, this young bounty hunter, is Onsiet and bears a striking resemblance to Kel? And that is like something that that is like motivating Redarr. Okay, this is good. I like where this is going. Okay, so I want to read the prompt again to make sure I'm doing it right. Is caught in a minor faction's trap, 3 hearts. Break it to recruit them. If you fail, lose 1 motivation. Who do they remind you of? So we obviously know who they actually, let's take a look. First of all, we need to figure out the minor faction here is the Kuda gang, yes? Oh no, not the Kuda gang. We just dealt with the Kuda gang. Prison Planet, minor faction, Kuda gang, yep. Oh my gosh. At the very least, at least we have like a reason to get involved, because the Kuda gang is... Okay, so Kuda gang trap. Maybe they caught... Why do they want this young nomad? It's a trap. But which bounty hunter nomad? Well, I do think that they specifically state they are a rookie nomad, which is one of the new archetypes from Outsiders, if I'm not mistaken. Nomads, yep, the rookies. So they are quite literally, when they say rookie, not only do they mean in experience they are a rookie, but they also mean the archetype is the rookie. Youthful energy and a reckless bravado hide a lack of experience and an overwhelming need to prove yourself. Success often lies in surprising opponents with dogged determination, chaotic unpredictability, or sheer luck. So, okay, yeah, we can actually probably generate a little profile for the rookie here. So, first of all, let's generate a name. Let's see here. Now, normally I would like, roll to generate their pronouns and whatnot, but because they are reminding Redarr specifically of Kel, and Kel, I believe, goes by he, him, if I'm remembering my... Oh, I guess I didn't write it down, but that's how I guess that's how I always assumed he was. So I'm gonna make that mark there. We're gonna say that. Ooh. Okay. This Redarr Kenth Kel Woe. We're gonna say that this person's name is Cade. I didn't like the last names they gave me here. So I'm gonna try and generate one more that speaks to me. I kind of like Caden Swift. We'll say with a Y to make it more Star Warsy. Caden Swift. So this is a rookie Onsiet nomad. Outfit, stylish jacket, pristine leather gloves, and a lucky charm. Whoa, the guild is watching you start every game with 4 motivation. Whoa, okay. They got scrappy brawling and gritted teeth. They don't even have a melee weapon, but they have a quick draw laser pistol. So yeah, a nomad after Redarr's heart. Origin. Consider how this influences your story. 3. You ran away from the life of your extremely wealthy family had planned for you to strike out on your own. Okay, so origin, ran away from a wealthy family to strike out. Wow, I can't type. Strike out on their own. On his own. Caden Swift. That's their origin story. What's their scar? They're a rookie, so that's interesting they even have a scar. Everyone from your home planet is known for the distinctive spots all over their skin, scales, or fur caused by a polluted atmosphere. Interesting. So their family are rich from a polluted homeland. So maybe that implies that the family deals in sort of like a toxic resource. And maybe that's why he ran away. He didn't want to be a part of, dealing in this sort of, family deals in toxic resources. Didn't want to be a part of it. Contains a hollow image of Waldo. So also we know a couple things about Caden. So Caden resembles Kel, which means he's Anciette. So he has 4 eyes. I'm gonna say that he also does have red skin like Kel, but now we know that his skin is scarred with sort of like chemical burns, it sounds like. Red skin with chemically burned splotches across his hide. Okay, that's interesting. And then consider how this influences his choices. Roll d6. Wow, we got 3 for everything. 3, 3, 3. You have an older sibling who ran off to join the Nomads Guild, and you haven't seen them since. I don't want to say that's Kel. That might be doing too much, but that is interesting. That Redarr is also searching for what he considers a piece of his missing family, who is Kel, right? And this kid is also looking for a family member. Wow. Okay, there's a lot of parallels here. So you have Caden Swift. So you have a sibling ran away to join the Nomads. Oh, and that's why the Kuda gang want him. They want him because they know that he's worth a lot of money. Is the family he ran away from on another planet, or is it this one? If it's this one, then maybe the toxic resource could be the raw sludge, which could be interesting. I know that the Anciette aren't typically a part of the lineage profiles on Katoon, and because they're like a wealthy family, I don't imagine they would probably live on Katoon, because Katoon is, you know, it was a prison planet that is being like repurposed into like a junk world, and these people sound rich, so they probably live in like the core worlds, but they could deal in the sludge, absolutely, right? They could have their hand in this kind of stuff. I'm kind of getting a vibe that it's like sort of like a what's the material in StarCraft? Vespene gas. We require more Vespene gas, right? I'm kind of thinking it's like a gaseous resource, a vapor resource. They have like vapor farms, but they could definitely have their hands in some raw sludge money, you know? But it definitely makes sense why they want the rookie now, because the rookie is tied to a rich family. The Kuda gang could extort them for money. But who is... Okay, the sibling ran away to join the Nomads. I'm gonna roll the die on that one. So 1, 2, mask, 3, 4, fem, 5, 6. Okay, so it's a brother. Sibling ran away. So brother, older brother. And we're gonna say his name is Corin. So you have Corin, Cade, and Kel. Which is another reason why they, you know, I think Redarr has a little bleeding heart for this kid. Okay, so that should be stylish jacket, pristine leather gloves, and a lucky charm. What is the lucky charm, since that is interesting? So we have... I'd like to imagine that Caden, like, probably still, unfortunately, probably wears... Nar says, oh yeah, they could buy the raw sludge, maybe even though it's more dangerous, it's more powerful fuse source, so therefore more valuable but highly illegal, or import it from whatever planet they're from. Yeah, absolutely. They got their fingers in many pies. Sludge pies. I'd like to imagine that Caden, you know, has like, kind of still wears his status a bit too much, right? Like probably like, they say pristine gloves, so I imagine he also has like slicked back, perfect black hair, right? The lucky charm, I kind of imagine as maybe like a family signet ring. You know? Some like piece of jewelry or something. That like, you know, unfortunately, like definitely lets people know that he's probably you know, a little more well off than he should be. So he's got a stylish jacket, pristine gloves, a holdout pistol, quick draw pistol. And he's a scrapper, but I imagine like maybe he's got fancy gloves, but he's cut the tips off to look like a gunslinger. Yeah, definitely trying to like cut off gloves. I'm gonna say homemade cut off gloves. I'd like to imagine that like when he scraps, it's like you can definitely tell like his fighting is not like gruff. His fighting is like it's like he went to a self-defense martial arts like kind of class, and like his movements are like too clean and too practiced. Like he's still effective, but it's like, oh, this kid probably has not functionally applied a lot of this fighting. Like he's doing a lot of like calculating his head, like, okay, if they step there, then I step here. So yeah, definitely like what do I want to say? Like well rehearsed personal defense. Close quarters. Well rehearsed, I'm gonna say CQC. Or like fancy gentleman style boxing. Ooh, that's kind of fun too. Kind of like a, hey, come here. Yeah, well rehearsed, gentlemanly boxing. All right, so we got Caden Swift. All right, so he's caught in a Kuda gang trap because they want to ransom him back to the Swift Vapor. The Swift Vapor conglomerate, right? Oh man, this is getting spicy. Okay, and I think that's everything we have to generate for the rookie, right? They got Scar, Trigger, Origin. Yeah, that's all we need for that. So we want to go back to the... Oh, wait, what was that? The... Interesting. I totally missed this, these two factions. The Mystic Coven, when I first read through the Green Aurora. Huh. I guess they weren't relevant to this planetoid. Okay. So definitely want to take a look back at my event to make sure I'm not missing anything. Rookie Nomad caught in a minor faction's trap. Break it to recruit them. If you fail, lose 1 motivation. So, a minor faction's trap plus 3 defense. So what is... I'm not familiar with this what's the word? This, mechanic of breaking a trap. It says it has defenses, so perhaps I run it like I'm running a combat encounter, and I have to break the defense value? Let's see. Hearts typically mean defense. This is a new scenario for us. Trilogy mode, nomad upgrades, reactions, speak, threaten. Yeah, because it doesn't follow. Your defense and equipments may provide defense. Your opponent may also have 1 or more points of defense. Each point of defense allows a successful attack to be blocked once, avoiding the consequence of failure. Yeah, it kind of sounds like... It kind of sounds like they want to handle it like a combat encounter. I can maybe handle it like a combat encounter where they have higher defense but no bonus to attack, because they don't have a bonus attack. Okay. So what is the Kuda Gang trap? Okay, so I think what happens is we grab the bounty puck, right? We know how to use the bounty puck, so we can see who the bounty puck is registered to. And we type in the code and we run it through, our Nomad system database, and we see that the person that this is registered to is like a kid, this is probably like one of their first handfuls of jobs. The others were probably busting like small time, like thieves on a core world planet, like in a very well regulated sector of space. Like there's already like a presence of law there. This is like the first job that they've taken with any sort of higher sense of import, right? They're taking a job from the old empire on the outer rim. This is like way out of their league, and they do not have the amount of credits under their belt to be taking it. But I suppose we'll see why they got there in a second. When I hear Kuda Gang trap, and because we can pinpoint the location of like who it belongs to, right? Because the bounty puck would be registered to like the bounty hunter. So we probably follow the lead because we see that he's on set. There's something about him that like kind of reminds us of Kel, and we're wondering why the bounty puck is separated from the Nomad. Also, the Nomads do have a code which kind of like implies that they're finished the job, only kill when necessary. Nomads don't fight Nomads. Oh, we are sort of going against the one code, don't get attached, but I mean, I think knowing that another Nomad is searching for a hit would be enough to motivate us to research. And I think what we see is we see the Kuda Gang. I think they intercepted him, right? On the hunt. And they've captured him. And the Kuda Gang have like this kind of like fish motif going on, right? So I kind of imagine that there's like, almost like a Bacta tank, like in Star Wars, they like put people in like the Bacta tanks to heal them, like that tube of liquid, but it's like a cage. You know what I mean? It's like this like, almost like Snow White. Is that the one that they're in like a glass coffin, the princess? Imagine it's like a glass coffin that like hovers. They're like transporting this body who's like frozen. Well, not frozen, but like in suspended animation in like a tub of like liquid, right? That the Kuda Gang might use to like, submerge themselves in. And he probably has like a face mask on that's like keeping him ventilated and like regulated. But he's like in suspended animation in like this hovering fluid tank. And he's being escorted by a group of Kuda Gang members, right? So suspended animation, fluid tank, escorted by a group of Kuda Gang. And yeah, I think like we hover bike our way up onto like a rocky outcropping, and we are staring down, like, like we're using our shield visor to sort of zoom in on the scene, and we are, watching them, walk through the desolate, gray haze of Katoon. And as we're zooming in, like we can probably like intercept some of their transmissions, and they're like, oh yeah, it's the Swift boy. He's worth a lot. He's worth a lot, and we're sort of getting the picture painted for us, and that's when like Thrick sort of like slowly peers over our shoulder. Redarr, far be it from me to intervene on Nomad business, but do you believe this is wise? The boy doesn't mean anything to us. The boy is not a part of your investigation. And that's whenever like Redarr, I think, like tightens his grip on his pistol and says, "It ain't about what we ought to do. It's about what needs to be done. And like, I think, you know, he's like watching Caden be escorted, and he almost like sees Kel, you know, in that vat. And he's like seeing Kel on the bridge where Kel told Redarr to turn away, and Redarr couldn't do it and couldn't take the shot that he needed to take that got Kel like blasted out into space and lost. It says, I ain't losing anybody else. No more nomads getting lost on my watch. You have to stay here if you want. That boy's coming home. He's coming home safe. And begins to like sneak his way down from the outcropping. We could try and threaten. We'd have to threaten all three, just like before, because they have 3 hearts, right? So that's kind of like they have 3 defense. So 3 hearts. I think it's worth it. I think it's worth trying to threaten first. Once again, we're kind of toying with the mechanics a little bit, but I think that makes sense for what we're trying to accomplish. And our notoriety is 5, so 2.5 rounded up is still 3. We still have a good chance. So I think no mad left behind, as they say. Wow, Nar. Still firing on all cylinders. Firing on all cylinders. So I think Redarr takes his mosey on down. You can hear the cling, cling, cling of his spurs as the Kuda gang all wheel around as they, you know, unfurl their plasma tridents, as we've all discovered they are, and like, you know, aims them in Redarr's direction. Redarr has his hands up. Now listen, ain't no reason we gotta go trading shots over this kid. Alright? What you got there's a nomad. Me, I run with the nomads. I think they'd be mighty vexed if they found out you were pawning them off. And they don't gotta know. But that's only if you wise up and quick. So why don't you let that boy go? We ain't gotta have any qualm between us. And the Kuda gang. Alright, let's see what happens. I add my notoriety, 2.5, so 3. Okay, we're starting off with a 5. Not incredible, but not the worst. 5 versus... Oh, come on, roll low, roll low. 3, okay, 5 versus 3. So the Kuda gang looks between one another as they're like weighing Redarr's words. You can see probably one of like the... Probably like a younger recruit, a younger initiative, the Kuda, are sort of like looking between their allies, and it's like,
oh, we don't want to mess with. We don't want to mess with any nomads. We should just turn them over. We should just.
And then like the other Kuda like puts up an arm.
This is Kuda gang business, nomad. Got caught fair and square. We don't want to have to get things ugly now.
And you can see like one is definitely talked down, but the other 2 are standing firm. So Redarr sort of leans on his hip, puts his hands on his sides, not on the pistol grips, but like close enough. Kuda gang, you might have some business out here in Katoon. You're dealing in your spice, that's fair enough, but you ain't dealing in bodies. You ain't dealing with the living, not under my watch. I don't gotta tell anybody what you're digging up here. I certainly don't want to draw any more ire from the Red Moon. So, as I said, leave the boy behind, and I don't gotta report nothing back to the core worlds, you understand? We're gonna roll again. So I rolled 2.5, so 3. Ooh, 5, 6, 7. Okay. 7 versus... I don't think they can beat that at all. Yeah, even with a 6. And so the Kuda begin to look back and forth between one another again.
Oh, come on, the spice is worth more than this kid. We can't let the core worlds know what we're up to.
And that's when, once again, the more firm-handed Kuda, like, pounds the bottom of his trident into the ground.
You're Redarr Kenth, ain't you? We just ran you out not too long ago. Heard you got banged up pretty bad. What makes you think you can shake us down now?
And then Redarr sort of like, you know, his visor, will say, he like puts his visor up and then like spits in the dust and like looks back up with his scarred eye with like the targeting reticle like built into the socket and just scowls at the three of them. And the two Kuda who are already scared sort of like shiver for a second and like draw their tridents up against their chest, while the other one still remains mostly unfazed and says, "I'll give you that. Y'all got lucky. Once. And luck, that shit runs out. Especially when I'm involved. If you're trying to push yours, I ain't recommending it, but I can't tell you how to play it." And with that, I think he puts a hand on the side of his pistol, like sort of daring him, like, come here, you know, give it a shot. You gonna talk a big game? Give it a shot. Alright, so we roll again. Ooh, that 8. Okay, we might have rolled really terribly during the fight, but for some reason we rolled really well during this this interrogation. Cause yeah, 8 versus 1, they ain't got nothing. And then finally, I think that's when the Kuda all sort of look between each other, and you hear the whispers like,
"Oh, didn't he evade the Red Moon in the core world? I heard he fought a nomad out on the core. Yeah, maybe this isn't what we want to do."
Like sort of whispering to each other. And that's when like finally the lead Kuda, you know, sort of shifts his weight and up and downs Redarr.
"Spice is worth more than this rat anyway. Take him. Make yourself scarce. We don't want any more trouble with the likes of you. Or the nomads, see?"
Now that is a different kind of tone, one I like to hear. And Redarr, you know, takes his hand off of his pistol. "I'll make sure that Red Moon or no one else cracks wise at what you got going on out here. Y'all keep yourself safe." And like, you know, tips his hat to him as the Kuda, you know, go to the fluid chamber. Beep, 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 beep. And you can see the fluid begin to like spill out of the sides and drain out of the tube. Caden in it, sort of coughing and sputtering. And, you know, the Kuda like rips the mask off and like pulls him out. "What's going? Hey, what are you?" And like, you know, throws him onto the dust.
"You're with him now, kid. Get out of our sight."
And like turn around as they like all put a hand on their suspended casket and begins to wheel it out into the wastes. Caden, on his hands and knees, sort of like coughing up some of this fluid, finally like shifts up onto his knees and like uneasily, you know, like one hand towards his holster. "I'm with you now?" And that's when Redarr sort of like puts his hands and like slowly like lowers them down. "Hey, nomad to nomad, you can ease on your trigger finger, alright? I ain't here to take nothing from you, certainly not your life." And I think he's like looking at this kid and he's like seeing Kel almost like superimposed onto him, you know, like I think there's a part of his heart that is just like the heartstring is being tugged. You know, this kid's with his hand like towards his holster, he's like kind of like seeing Kel in his prime. Obviously this kid doesn't have the same bearing, but like Redarr is like putting that on him right now. "I'm just another bounty hunter trying to do a job. I think we got a lot more in common out here on Katoon than we do different. That's all I'm saying. Maybe we can put our heads together on this." What do you say? And now I think I have to... I think I still have to recruit, right? I don't think this is guaranteed. It'd suck if I did all this and we don't we don't get the kid. All right, let's see. Let me double check. Break it. Oh no, it says break it to recruit them. Break it to recruit them. Sometimes the prompt will explain that you automatically succeed, no need to roll. I feel like this is probably a situation where if we do the prompt correctly, we don't need to roll to recruit, right? That feels right to me, at any rate. And I think Redarr, like when he says, like, I think we can put our heads together on this one, I think he extends his hand outward and he's holding Caden's bounty puck, right? And he clicks the button on the side and, you know, Waldo's image appears like in the hollow light. He says, you catching my drift? And to that, Caden like nods his head. Oh, you're on the Waldo job. Wait a second. And like, he begins to like put some of the pieces together. Cause remember, Redarr was run out into the core worlds by another nomad who set him up. He's kind of wanted himself right now. I think this may be something that Caden might hear about, right? Like, especially being another nomad in the outer sector. There's probably not too many of them there. And the ones that are there, like, who are essentially on the run, like Redarr, probably have a little bit of a reputation. Says, you're Redarr Kenth, at your service. Now, I know you're looking at me and you're seeing the credits rising up, or I see them in your eyes, but I wouldn't get that idea if I were you. I have it on some good authority by the admirals men themselves. This Waldo is gonna be worth a pretty penny. Got his fingers into some pretty sticky situations. I think that's well more enough to bring him in for the Empire, skate away with some for ourselves. I ain't opposed if you ain't, and not to knock you any, but he like looks him up and down, you know, covered in like the liquid, you know, prison fluid. I think you might be able to use the help. And Caden sort of like reluctantly finally takes his hand away from his pistol. You know, I would have been fine. I had him right where I wanted him. It was all, I had a plan. Okay, I was gonna let them take me to... I was getting information, and it doesn't matter. Like, he's like coming up with all these excuses, like how it was all a part of his scheme. I'm sure it was. It's a play I couldn't see, but a play nonetheless. I do things a little different. Don't mean we can't get them done together. Why don't we call ourselves partners on this? He like lowers his hand to him, and Caden says, all right. Normally I'm, you know, I work solo, usually, but if you need the help, as you say. Yeah, kid. I could use the help. And Caden finally like takes his hand, gives it a shake, and I think they cement this partnership. This is interesting, an interesting development. Now we have a former fugitive with us, and we have a rookie nomad with us. We always meet some interesting characters when Redarr's on the case. Nar says, you're a bit green, kid. Figuratively speaking, that is. So is there any sort of... Now, the question I have is, so we recruit the nomad, but how does that work functionally? Because I don't think, unless they do have like a... what do you call it? Like a recruitment function, like the other assets do. Was this an exploration event or destination event? This is an exploration event. Yeah. break it to recruit them. We did recruit them. We did not fail. Okay. So, I guess let's go to recruit and see what they might say. Recruit. If they aren't interested, pick crew thief. Oh yeah, freelance pilot or a rookie nomad. You share some invaluable wisdom and they gratefully answer a few questions over a drink. When you next lose a fight, do not roll to determine your fate. They appear just in time to finish off your opponent, then their debt is repaid. Interesting. So there's sort of like a get out of jail free card from a fight. We could have used you earlier. We could have used you earlier, Caden. Okay. Perfect. I think recruiting Caden might be a perfect place to stop for the night. I think that is a really cool narrative beat to end on, getting this new bounty hunter on our side. Although so he stays with Redarr until y'all find Waldo. Yeah, I would say like, although I would say, like, narratively speaking, he'll be with us during all the fights, right? But, like, mechanically, we're still using our dice rolls, right? We're still using our tools at our disposal. We can narrate that he's taking shots with his pistol or doing some boxing. But he doesn't... His ability only kicks in once. You know what I mean? So narratively, he's there. Mechanically, we only get the jail out of free card once, but he can still travel with us, especially until Waldo is caught. So I see what you say. So he stays until Redarr finds Waldo. So in other words, he's staying forever. We're stuck on Katoon for the foreseeable future. Also, I like the idea that like Redarr marches Caden up to the hover bike where Thrix is, and Thrix is sort of like looking at the hover bike and looking at the space and like,
oh, well, it's going to be a bit of a tight squeeze, but I believe we can make it work.
And then Caden's like, don't worry, I travel light, and like reaches into his back and pulls out like a straight, like this like piece of metal that like unfolds and like throws it on the ground, and it's like a straight hoverboard, like Back to the Future style hoverboard, so that Redarr is gonna be like on his hover cycle, and then like next to him, like sky surfing, air surfing, is gonna be Caden, just playing into this like youthful sort of like this youthful attitude sort of vibe. We're gonna have Redarr on the hover bike. We're gonna have Caden on the hoverboard, and Thrix is gonna be on the back. So everybody's accounted for as we travel across the wastes of Katoon together. And yeah, I think that's a really fun place to stop. And so we free Caden. He pulls out his hoverboard. We rip into the stretching fields ahead of the moonstone ahead, and we fade into the horizon. And Caden joins us. What if Caden is later revealed to have makeup on that covers up the stripes over his skin, and Caden has been Waldo the whole time? Listen, don't turn Redarr's, connection to his past into our secret villain Nar. Don't you do it. Don't you do that to him. Hasn't he seen enough? Hasn't he been through enough? Which is also, it's interesting. I don't want to try and read the future too much, talking about the future, but in trilogy mode, part of our upgrades, I think, is, choose one asset to join you as a permanent companion. I mean, do we adopt another bounty hunter permanently if we make it through this adventure? Could be a part of our trilogy. Could be a part of our trilogy. That is fun. All right. I think that's really cool. I think that's a beautiful place to stop. I'm gonna pull this back into just chatting. Thank you so much for everyone who decided to pop into Level 1 Adventuring tonight for this, I don't want to say impromptu stream. It was certainly promptu. I normally do Wednesdays. I was kind of fighting my tiredness. I took a nap right before I streamed, and I was like, oh man, am I going to run a solo RPG? Do I have the brain space to do it? But we got there. Nar says, Ors y'all catch Waldo. Caden gets burns and has to wear white bandages and becomes the next Waldo as he takes up the mantle. Why do you want him to hurt us so bad? Why do you want him to hurt us, Nar? Caden's a good kid. He may be a little green. He's got a bit of an attitude problem, but he could be the next best bounty hunter, okay? Well, next to us. But yes, thank you for sticking with me as I got through my brain fog, my nap brain frog, and had our wonderful stream tonight. If you are new to Level 1 Adventuring, I'm Wolfe Scott. I am your host and Dungeon Master. I run the stream here. I run solo RPGs like you watch tonight, old episodes on YouTube, new episodes here on Twitch. And also, I run long-form group games like D&D. We haven't had a session in a while. Unfortunately, head count's been kind of low, but you can catch old episodes on YouTube, new ones on Twitch when they air. Speaking of D&D, and following us on all platforms like YouTube, you should also follow us on Discord because our Discord has a free West Marches play-by-post 5th edition campaign. It's a bunch of player-run factions exploring a cursed island chain, multiple quests running at the same time over multiple dungeon masters. It's a fun time, whether you are new to D&D or a veteran. A rookie or a veteran, as outsiders would call it. Come by, download. You can tell I need another nap. Check out the Discord. It has all the rules for joining below. Also, if you're into MMOs, we also have a super group that runs for City of Heroes. You can find out all of the rules on how to join that in the Discord as well. So follow us on all the socials. We would love to see you there. Big shout out to StreamLabs, Stream Audio, StreamSpell, AI TwitchBot, Epidemic Sound, all of the services that make our stream act well, act fun, interactive, sound cool. All of the services are linked down below, and if you use them, then you can get a little kickback. We get a kickback, everybody's happy. And also, speaking of links and things that you should download, please download. Technically, you'd still need to download Discord, so it's not inaccurate, so it's not fair. But hopefully you've gotten further than that in this scenario. Give a download to Notorious and Outsiders. Both are by Jason Price, also known as Always Checkers. I will have those links on the videos on YouTube that you can click on their links on his itch.io page or their itch.io page. I'm not quite sure, so I don't want to be disrespectful. But awesome games, super fun, well designed, even though I mess up the mechanics, but that's just because I haven't played the game in a while, so I need to make sure I knock off the rust every time I play a session. But very fun, easy to grasp, now has a trilogy mode if you get both Notorious and Outsiders, and I highly recommend both. So download those. Jason does great work. And I think that's all I need to say for now. You're going to catch us here next week, doing City of Heroes, doing some role-playing game stuff. Not quite sure what yet, but we will. And until then, I hope y'all rest well, drink some water, be easy, treat each other kindly. I'm going to roll the credits for everyone who supports us over on the Discord or through Patreon, and then I'll run that outro. So until then, be well, y'all. It's been a pleasure. Have fun.